Hey gang, it's Paul here, and time for another e-learning live stream. Today we're going to be talking about a very different topic than what we've done in the past. I had a situation a number of weeks ago, probably less than a month ago, or maybe around a month ago, where an old colleague of mine reached out to me and said, Paul, would you be interested in doing some e-learning design and development work for the company that I work for? And of course, I said yes. She said the only problem is that we don't use Captivate here. But I figured that because you're an expert, Paul, that you can figure this stuff out quite quickly. What they use, of course, is Articulate Rise 360 to design, develop their courses. So I took this as an opportunity. And I say this kind of humorously. My intention was to learn Articulate, the entire suite. It's been on my list of things to do this year for about 4 years now. So, I'm really excited to share with you my experience using Rise 360. And I can honestly say, while I may not be an expert on Rise 360 at this point, I think this is a good tutorial to watch because, of course, this is from the perspective of someone who's only started using Rise 360, um, sorry, in the last couple of weeks. Hope that's my only glitch for this live stream is bumping my microphone. I apologize. So this is really kind of different for me. So I'm going to share my screen now, and we'll take a look at what Rise 360 is all about here. So let me just go back to my main page here, and we'll turn on the view of my desktop. Now, I've been set up with an account with the client in question, using their portal, but I signed up for my own Articulate 360 account. It's an individual license. I know that there are other benefits that if you get a team license, you can share content between team members and so on. But I thought for my situation, I would be fine with just this. So this is the process. Now, keeping in mind that, your process of development might be different from one person to the next. I use, storyboards to design my courses. And then once the storyboard is approved, I'll get into developing here. Let's see if I can find an example of storyboards that I've used in the past here. Let's see here. Yeah, so I'm just going to open up it. I usually develop my storyboards in Microsoft Word. I'm just downloading one right now. So this is actually an old one that I would have developed back when I worked for the Greater Toronto Airports Authority here. So this was a singular course of another much longer curriculum here. And, of course, you can design your course however you wish. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to use this storyboard. This is just an example of a storyboard here. But I'm going to have my source documents on my other monitor, so you won't see those. But what you will see is how I put that together in a new course in Articulate Rise 360 here. So the first thing that you want to do is click on New Course. And you can choose between some of the templates that are available. I checked these out, and I think that would be a good starting point if you wanted to see some examples of the different types of blocks that you can include in a Rise 360 course. But very quickly, I think you're going to find that you're going to be able to build your own blank course from scratch based on your storyboard that you've first of all had approved, right? So I'm going to do this for us today. We're going to start with a blank course here. Now, in this example, let me just open up my source document that I'm going to be working with today, just so I have it in front of me here. So I can easily copy and paste content into these fields here. And it's quite easy to do. You could decide whether you display the author to the end user. So for example, with the client that I'm currently working on right now, I'm not actually the author of the course, even though I'm the one doing the development work. So I would hide the author and do that here. The very first thing you're probably going to want to do is describe your course. I usually just, if you're thinking in terms of Captivate, because of course many of you are viewing me today because you follow me because of my tutorials about Adobe Captivate, I usually put the kinds of things that you would put on a welcome page here. So here's an example. Welcome to the Respectful Workplace. This course is designed to help you be aware of what is, oops, I missed a space there, is acceptable behavior in the workplace. And, at this point here, when you're working with a storyboard, right? Let's go back to that storyboard for a moment there. I closed it. So never mind. If you're working with a storyboard, what you'll often do is, you'll have sections, lessons, modules, whatever you want to call them. I have debates with e-learning developers all the time over what these are called. So your first step will be to decide what your individual lessons are. So usually you start with something like course objectives or introduction. Let's call this introduction. Now, to add this as a section, notice this comment here, Shift Enter to add as a section there. So I'm going to Shift Enter, and you'll see it comes up as a section there. I'm going to keep adding sections. So the next one is going to be harassment and the prohibited grounds of discrimination. Shift Enter again. And we'll keep doing this until we have all of our main sections, our main modules or lessons or whatever you want to call them. And then we'll get into the individual topics themselves. So what else do we have in this course? Reporting, discrimination, harassment. Shift Enter. Investigations. Oops, spelled it wrong. Actually, here's a tip that I think is good. Again, Shift Enter to make that a section. Here's a tip as well. One of the things that, and I don't, they don't pay me to say this. They don't, they're not one of the sponsors of my YouTube channel, but I use Grammarly quite frequently. And I pay for a subscription because while I'm pretty good at spelling and grammar, there are, of course, differences between the United States and Canada. And also, I tend to write, I tend to write in such a way that I just start writing and I don't really think about the flow of things. And sometimes Grammarly does a great job of saying, this is kind of a long sentence, rephrase this. So I went with what account did I go with here? The premium subscription. And, for $140 a year, I guess, and this is, of course, probably in Canadian funds or whatever, or a little bit more than $10 per month, it's really worth it to be able to kind of not have to worry about someone double checking your work. You can just sort of make it automatic here. I got two more sections that respect in the workplace. Shift enter, summary, and there we go. So now I can go back up to the top here and start with you know, the sections that will go in the introduction. I actually think this is a little weird because when I want to add a section to introduction, I actually have to kind of hover over the next section and hit plus. So here we go, course objectives. And you'll see it processing, and then I can start adding content to that. You know, another section I might have for this is why this course is important. Okay, and we'll just hit a normal enter at this point here. And just scrolling through my storyboard here to find the next section. And we want to have what is harassment. And we'll just see if I've got other topics here. And then we're into the impact of discrimination and harassment. So yeah, so I mean, this is okay. This will work. You know, it might be easier if I just bring up the original source document here. Now, before I get into adding individual content to these sections, you can take a look at the settings area here. And if we go into settings, you'll see that we can do a number of different things. You could edit the course title here. You can choose elements like upload your logo. So if you have a company logo that you'd like to use, we can do that. And we'll go to my social media images, and I think I probably have a company logo here. There we go. We can add that to this course here. Cover photos. Now, this is one of the cool things within Rise, and I will show you shortly how this works and how the layout is. But one of the things that's really nice about Rise 360 is you can either upload your own photo, which is fine. If you have access to you know, a stock photography site, you can definitely do that. Or you can browse cover photos that are made available to you from the folks at Articulate. So you can pick something that's meaningful from these featured items here, but you can also search for you know, office people or something like that, and then you can pick something that might be appropriate for your particular course here. So this is a respectful workplace course, so we're going to choose people in an office setting. The other thing that you can customize with your theme, and here's a preview of what we've got so far. You can choose different fonts as well. And again, I'm still learning here. So here's a preview of our theme. Now you'll see there's always these little underlines and little highlight items that'll be within different interaction blocks. And of course you can change those colors. So you could choose like maybe a navy blue. You can also select a custom color, type in the hex code for it, whatever it is that you particularly like to use. I often use, let's see here, Open Sans or Arial or something like that. So maybe I'm going to just set this whole course up to be Open Sans across the board there. And then I can save that, and then that's going to be the look and feel of my course moving forward here. Navigation, you can choose whether it's free navigated courses, or you can say restricted. In other words, they need to do the material in the order that you're providing it. The sidebar is a really cool feature, and you'll see that as I continue to build this course. You'll see that you can have it closed, open, or no sidebar whatsoever. I like the open look. It's very cool. It's very different from Adobe Captivate. And then, of course, you can choose different options here. The sidebar will include the ability to mark a lesson complete, and you'll see that indicated here. You want to allow them to mark it complete themselves. You can turn that on or off. You can give them search capabilities, obviously, up here, and lesson count labels, lesson 1 of whatever, or you can turn that off if you wish. You know, and if you do want the standard previous and next buttons at the end, the start and end of each lesson, you can turn that on. And you can allow learners to control the playback speed of videos. You can have that on as well. Translations, this is more about exporting your course. This is something that you can do. It's a format called XLIF, which I believe is very XML based, but I'm not certain. I've not used this myself. Again, I'm the 30-day user of Rise 360, but I do know that you can export this XLIF file, send it to your translation or regionalization company, and they can take care of converting all the language. And you can then, of course, import those XLIF files back in and come up with a French language or a Spanish language version of all your courses here. Labels, of course, all the, you know, you can choose the different choices like English, Spanish, French, etc. And that way, things like start course, resume course, all the things that are sort of built into the tool itself will get, you know, updated here. So let's go ahead and close. And let's start adding content. This is where things get more interesting here. So I'm just going to close that little notification there. And you click on the Add Content button. And you can choose 2 types of content for any of your lessons or sections. Lesson being, of course, just content that's consumable. Quiz is an assessment. This is what they'll be scored upon here. So we're just starting off with a lesson, and this gets us into our first block here. Now think of things as blocks. Now you've got some of the more frequently used blocks on your screen right now, but what I prefer to do, because sometimes I change my mind as to what I'm going to be using, you can choose blocks from the All Blocks option, and that panel will come up on the left-hand side of your page here. And it's real simple. You can just click on each of these items and explore what capabilities there are. So obviously in a course here like this, you're going to have text, and you can choose one of the pre-formatted options that's available to you. You can add a heading by itself, or you can have just, you know, a paragraph of text, a combination of the 2 here, as you can see, paragraph with subheading, and just 2 columns. You can set up a table of information. There's a lot of text options for you to choose from here. So, you know, a typical course like this, I'm going to start off with my learning objectives. So let's just go back to my source document here. And, you know, this is the objective section, so I don't really need a heading for this. So I'll just add a block of text here. I can click away from the block library, and you'll see I can edit right here if I wish. But I kind of recommend that you go into the edit option just to become familiar with not only editing the content, but updating the settings as well. So let's first of all add some content in here. And I'm just going to copy this text and paste it in here, and that's perfectly fine. Settings, of course, allows you to work with padding. Now, in this example, let me click away for a second here. My intention is to put a list of learning objectives after this block of text. So I might want to get rid of the padding that's located at the bottom. I'll keep the top padding, that works, but no padding here. And this will just tuck the list of content that I wish to place here underneath that. Fortunately, list is a very frequently used item. There are more generic bulleted text that you can add just through the regular text type. But in this case here, I really like those numbered 1, 2, 3. So we're going to just copy and paste. So again, if I hover over any of the blocks that I've added, you'll see, first of all, the option to turn this into one of the other types of content. I really like the numbered list, so we're going to stick with that. And I'm going to edit it here. So now it's broken down into real simple stuff. So item 1 here, we'll just paste my text in there. And we'll copy the next item. Again, you're not seeing that on my screen there, but that's okay. Here's an example where, Grammarly is working for me here. It says I shouldn't have the definition of harassment. Definition, why has it got that 1 in there? I'm copying from a PDF. That's probably why. It probably picked it up. So that's fine. And let's just type here in case that's a problem. The prohibited grounds of discrimination. I did take a course from LinkedIn Learning. It's quite good. So maybe some of what you're seeing here today will seem very familiar to those who've taken that course, because that was what I learned on the workplace here. I spelled discrimination wrong. So there we go. And I can keep adding items here. I'm not going to build a real course here. So these are just samples of everything. What's kind of cool about, these blocks is that you can move them up or down in the order of items that you see over here. You can duplicate them, which is huge. I love the ability to just reuse content whenever I can. Obviously, I'd have to change the content itself, but why go searching for a particular block if you've got an example of that already in your course? And then later, if you don't want to have something, you can remove it from that particular item there. So this is pretty much how it works, is I just keep adding these blocks that are available. So we looked at text. Statements are kind of fun. They're text, but obviously with some flair to them. So I really like these little notes because, in training, we often have little notes that remind people of, here's a pro tip, or, here's some information that, maybe it's just an added bonus when it comes to that. And of course, you can edit that content much in the same way as you would with text. And of course, you can change the background color of any of your blocks as well. I don't know if that looks good in this case here. Let's go with white. Let's stick with white here, and I think that's fine. And I think there's a way you can edit the information color as well, but I could be, again, I'm still learning, so much of this is just me just stabbing away at this information here. At any time, I can preview my course by clicking the preview button at the top right corner of my page here. So we can see what this course looks like if we're running it live. The nice thing about the lesson preview is that Rise 360, this is responsive design at its best. And what I like about it too, it's responsive design that is not necessarily something you need to constantly think about. When you're building a responsive design course in Adobe Captivate, you do have to spend a great deal of time thinking about what this content will look like on a variety of different screens. Not so with Rise 360. Because you're working with these very templated blocks, it's done that work for you, and you can preview what this will look like on a variety of different screen sizes and devices, and really get a sense of what that look and feel is going to all be about. Let's go back to edit mode here. And let's say this is all we're going to include for our course objectives. So I like to throw a continue button, and that will allow you to just allow your learners to continue with the rest of the course. So kind of think of this like your next button in Adobe Captivate. Before I go on to another lesson, let me just switch gears here a little bit here. And I'm just going to go back to my webcam for a second and take a look at if we have any comments or questions so far. So it looks like John has joined us and said hello. Hi, John. Luke has also joined us. He says, hey, Paul, have you ever tried Evolve? I'm converting to it, and smiley face there. So I don't know Evolve, but feel free to put a link in the chat there, Luke. I'd be very interested to take a look at it, see what it's all about. I'm always looking for the latest tool or the next tool to consider here. Maisha, is that right? Maisha Romaine, I could be mispronouncing your name. I'm apologizing for that. Says, good morning, Paul. This is my first live stream. Very happy to be here. I'm happy to have you as well. This live stream is a little different. Normally, live streams are reserved for members of my YouTube channel. Maisha, I'm sorry if I'm getting that wrong. She's a member of my YouTube channel, so she has contributed on a monthly basis to have access to premium content. Maisha, okay, thank you, Maisha. She just gave me a phonetic spelling in the chat there. It's, for many people, it's not for everybody. I understand that. And of course, I'm going to always continue to provide free content to my regular subscribers and anyone else that happens to stumble across my YouTube channel. But today I wanted, because this is not really what I would consider premium content, because, hey, I'm still learning Rise 360. This is all new for me as well. So I wouldn't want to position myself as an expert and expect you to pay for this content. So this is open to the open public. Anyone can watch this live stream today. But other live streams in the future, and of course in the past as well, where I talk about Adobe Captivate and I teach more specific tutorials, longer form tutorials than just my regular 5-minute videos on YouTube. That's reserved for my members only. So if you'd like to be a member, if you go to my main page, you can just click on the join button and you'll see the options that are available to you there as well. A couple more hi and hey Pauls. So hi everyone. Paul, another, not me, but another Paul said, hi, hope Captivate includes a simple and quick Rise equivalent in the next update that looks as good. I can't guarantee that. I can't promise that. My hope, of course, for the future of Adobe Captivate is I'd like to see easier responsive design development. But again, I know nothing about what the next release will look like. I don't have any sense of time frames. I get a lot of questions about that. So, I'll just say a blanket statement that I don't have those answers for you. And Maisha is saying, it's a very great place to learn Captivate. Thanks for all that you do there, Paul. Thank you, Maisha. I appreciate that. Okay, so let's go back to Rise, and we'll go back to my desktop view here, and I can click this back arrow and go back out to the course content level here. So now we can see that I've, this button for adding content is turned to edit content. So let's add some content here, and we'll just show you some other blocks that are available. So some of the things that I really like, of course, there's some neat stuff that are sort of a combination of items. The quotes are kind of cool. So you can, it's not uncommon for you to come up with quotations. So let's see, famous quotations. And we'll just find, what was the one quote that I was thinking of recently? Anyway, I probably won't think of it. Let's just go to the 100 most famous quotes. So let's pick one of these blocks here, and we can click away, and here's a little quote here. So I can copy the text from this. I've just searched for this here, and let's edit this block here. So here's the actual quote itself. This particular version was included quotation marks, but because this tool adds those in for you, I'm just going to delete those. And in this case here, this quote is from Nelson Mandela. Now, you have the opportunity to change the avatar to a picture of Nelson Mandela. So let's just go to a website where I can find a picture of Nelson Mandela. I don't know if I have one here, or if I can freely use it. Let's see if this site has it. I have a membership on this site. Mandela. Did I spell Mandela wrong? No. So maybe I'll just, for the purposes of this tutorial, you would of course want to get a legitimately licensed, image of Nelson Mandela. So I, would normally do this. If this was for a real project, I would do this from, perhaps Getty Images or something like that. In this case here, I'll just save something I found on the internet here. You want to make sure that if it is from the internet, you want to use something that is either fair use or in the public domain. So I'm going to click on edit here. I can replace this image here, and we'll just go to my desktop, and there is that picture here. So it's going to upload that image, convert it to here. So now I have a really cool little quote from Nelson Mandela, and we've got the image of him there. Incidentally, once you've created a block such as this, there's sometimes different variations that you can create. So go through and check these different quote types. I kind of like this one. That's nice. It really emphasizes the image of him. This is good too. You can do quote on an image, which is kind of fun. So we could choose, click on edit the background, and let's look for something that's in the Rise content library here. So he is from South Africa. So let's see if there's an image of South Africa we could use. The shoreline, that's beautiful. And this will select that. And now we have something that is really kind of cool here. We've got the image of him. This is beautiful, right? Like, let's check this out. So this is what that particular course will look like when we launch that in a browser window. Again, remember that, of course, this content will automatically adjust itself for responsive design, and it's really easy. Now, so this leads me to an interesting point here. If your client looked at this and they saw this particular layout and they say, well, you know what, I really like this, Paul, this image of South Africa in the background, the quote from Nelson Mandela. Could we move him, the picture of Nelson Mandela, over here and make it larger, make it stand out some way? And so that's actually going to be a problem. Rise is really good at providing you these really beautiful and rich multimedia and, really, and some really cool interactions as well. So far, I've only really shown you level 1 stuff. But the ability to edit is limited to just usually a few options. So again, we could choose a different image. We could choose a different background. We could actually crop this image. And let's say, for example, you didn't want to show the town, but you wanted to more show the mountains in the background. You can do things like that. So that's going to change the appearance of it. But beyond that sort of stuff, you're really very limited here. And again, we can adjust the padding above and below each of these blocks. But, when you think about it, if the goal is rapid development or rapid design and development of e-learning, do you want to spend time rebuilding interactions and blocks so that we're satisfying the idiosyncratic needs of a couple of stakeholders? In the end, it's just about getting the material out to your learners as best possible here. So let's take a look at some other blocks here. So again, you can just see what's possible. Incidentally, you can get, I believe, a 60-day trial version of Rise 360 and Articulate 360, which includes Storyline 360, which is probably going to be the next challenge that I give myself when it comes to learning this new authoring suite of tools. So we've seen, some good examples of quotes. I think there's one others if you have a quote carousel, which is almost an interaction unto itself there. Let's take a look at list. We saw a little bit of list here, so we were using this one here, so I don't want to spend too much time on that. Images. So this is really cool. You can choose a centered image like this, and it can be there as part of, to support other blocks that you're going to select. So let's go and find a new image from their content library, and we'll search for people in office or something like that. And we have a lot to choose from here. So we can choose this one here. And like the quote, like the background image of the quote, we can edit this. We don't want such a huge image necessarily. So you can either replace this image with one of your own, or we can replace it with a different one. And from the content library, we can crop this image as well. So I don't need so much space being used up. Maybe I just want to frame this to be a little bit tighter with my subjects in the middle there. So if I hit save, that becomes a little bit smaller. And again, if I'm going to add some content that's related to the image, I might want to add no padding below it. The other thing that learners will have the ability to do is click on an image and have it fill their screen. You can decide whether you're going to include that or not. So I can uncheck this. It's just there for window dressing. So we'll put that there. Something that's kind of nice though is that, to highlight this as maybe a different section within this module or lesson, we can change the background color behind the image. So you don't have to just have it be white. You can choose something like that there. We can quite often edit right on the tool itself here. And this is a Respect in the Workplace course. We'll say working together as a team is a great way to promote respect in the workplace. Okay, you could do something like that. You can also, of course, there's something else here. I'm in this one here. if we edit this and we edit the image, you can also edit alt text as well. That's where you would find that caption as well. So this is useful if you want to improve accessibility here. I'm not sure how accessible Rise 360 is. I would think it's pretty good, but I've not done any tests of that so far. So that might be something that we find out again here. Yeah, so let's just pause for a moment here, go back to webcam for a moment, and I just want to take a look and see if there are any new comments. So Jason was saying here, sorry, Jane, I keep knocking my microphone here. Jason was saying, I think you would need to Photoshop the image first and then add to Rise. You can, of course. That is certainly possible, but there is some cropping as we've just demonstrated. You may have wrote that before I showed that. But yeah, I would agree with Nick, who also said, what did he say here? It's the really powerful feature of Rise is the responsive design, and I agree. You know, you can also insert storyline blocks, and that's something I've not really done too much of. One of the things that you'll very quickly learn in Rise is that if you wanted to create a text entry box, there is no text entry box, at least not that I found in Rise. But you certainly could create a text entry box and save it as a storyline block and then import it. So that's another benefit there. So it's pretty flexible in that if you know storyline well and you can create your own interactions there, you can bring those into Rise as well. So that's a real, yeah. And Nick was saying advanced editing requires some coding skills. Here's what I'm going to say about that. I'm a big believer. I mean, certainly after 15 years of using Adobe Captivate, I would describe myself as an expert in using Adobe Captivate and also developing custom solutions, you know, to solve learning challenges. And certainly I've addressed those sorts of issues when a stakeholder will reach out to me and say, Paul, I really like what you've done, but can you change it to do this? Or can you change it to look a different way or behave a different way? And I would say that, you know, working with Adobe Captivate for as long as I have, I'm very comfortable with those sorts of things because I'm very good at customizing what Captivate is capable of doing. And with Rise 360, you'd probably have to get under the hood. You'd probably have to get into the nitty-gritty if you wanted to edit those sorts of things. But I think where Rise 360, you know, for no pun intended here, rises to the top is my belief in the democratization of learning authoring tools. And, you know, I sort of, my experience with, for example, the Adobe eLearning forums, there are certain individuals who are very quick to judge new Captivate users. I don't find this so much in Articulate's forums, but certainly in the Captivate forums, there is a bit of an elitist attitude for people who have been using Captivate for a long time. They're very quick to judge new Captivate users. They are very quick to you know, to question their choices in how they've designed their Captivate courses. You know, and I almost sort of, you know, in the cartoon version of real life in my head, I sort of imagine this very elite group of people wearing white lab coats, feeling that unless you've got a PhD and whatever it is that you're an expert in, that you don't deserve the right to use an e-learning authoring tool like Adobe Captivate, or, you know, whatever the tool is. I'm not a fan of that at all. I think anyone it has the potential to be a teacher. And I think Yeah, Luke's saying definitely some Captivate snobs in the community. I hope you don't think I'm one of them. Because I am a big believer in the democratization of e-learning. I think if you've got something to teach, doesn't matter whether you have a master's degree in it or a PhD or anything like that. I think if you've got knowledge, and this is me to a T, if you have knowledge that you'd like to share, you should be able to do that without being some kind of, you know, community determined expert, you know, or whatever. So that's why I love the idea of Rise 360 is that here I am with no knowledge, you know, and I would say 30 days ago I had zero knowledge of Articulate Rise 360. I just bit the bullet, bought a license for a year, and of course the client has asked me to develop some courses that were already storyboarded. And very quickly, I was able to turn these around just by exploring the tool and trying things out. Again, it's almost like if you gave people too many options, maybe it becomes that complicated tool. And in a way, I like the simplicity of Rise. And I also like the ability to just simply, when someone says, "Oh, can you make it do this?" No. Uh, yeah, I mean that's one of the beauties of this tool is that it's simple to use, it's fast and quick and easy, and really isn't that what e-learning should be. You know, you don't need some kind of special degree or a part of an elite squad of individuals to be able to build training for your audience. I am that accidental instructional designer. I was hired for my first job in a learning and development department based on the fact that I was a subject matter expert and not an expert in training. That organization paid for me to go off and take a variety of different courses and become that expert. So let's show you some more here. I want to keep this to about an hour today, and we're at 10:47 my time. So let me just switch gears again here. We'll go back to my desktop here, and we'll go back and add some more blocks here. So we've looked at images. Galleries are kind of cool because if they're also images, but they're images that can be either a carousel of images, or you can put a variety of different images, 4 grid columns. These are cool as well. You can use those if you're maybe even sharing a process map or something like that. Multimedia, of course, opens things up to the ability of adding audio. I get a lot of questions in Captivate about how to add audio to a slide other than, you know, slide audio in Captivate that just plays by itself. What if you want to give learners controls? So you can do that here by adding an audio item. It could be some narration. You could add, you know, a caption. Click the play button to begin this narration. You know, and you can upload or start recording. And like all the others, you've got settings for padding between other objects there. So that's something that can easily be done. Let's go back to our all blocks here, back to multimedia. Obviously the ability to add video. So if you have a physical MP3 or some sort of video format, let's take a look at what the possibilities are. MP4 is sort of the obvious thing as well. You can replace the video and then we can simply navigate to where video is selected. Oh, let's take a closer look there. So yeah, M4V. I'm hoping that that it converts it once you upload it, but MP4, M4V, WebM, I didn't know what that was, .mov and .asx are all available as video files that you can upload. In here, of course, as well, is that you can manage captions and upload a VTT format. VTT is a closed captions format. Here's a little tip. If you don't know what a VTT is, you can actually let YouTube, if you upload your video to YouTube, and it will generate a VTT or similar format that would allow you to build your VTT file quite quickly. And obviously you need to identify that you're using a particular language file so that it knows what to do with it. And then of course that's going to include all the timings and everything, so that's useful as well. Another type of, let's just simply go back here. Sorry, we'll keep working within the same lesson here. Back to multimedia. Now, of course, there's video from the web that's already on the web, so you can pop those in as well. And here, very simple to do. We just edit this, and oh, it's playing. How lovely. And obviously, you can change this to a different video of your choosing. Showing the metadata will show things like the text, the name of the video, and so forth. You may or may not wish to do that, depending on what you want to include there. And again, same information, padding. You can show a border, you can not show a border. I like the border because it really isolates it from other content. And you can choose small, medium, or full width. I like small. One of the advantages of this, I believe, that when you're playing it, you can switch to full screen. I know that's something that not only developers are looking for, but our viewers are looking for, our learners are looking for as well. And again, you could put that background color in there if you wished. Maybe a lighter version of this, like just something to have it stand out from the other content on the slide. So you could do some really cool stuff with multimedia. Now, where Rise 360 really shines is that it's not just level 1 training. You can start getting into interactions where you can add, for example, an accordion widget, edit the content to have custom images and text of your own doing, and then the effect is something like this, where you can open things up and learn more. And is that truly interactive? Well, that's debatable. You could also do it as tabs here. But it certainly deals with cognitive load if you want to chunk out your material into smaller bits and pieces here. Let's add another interaction or interactive. You can label an image with hotspots and have those hotspots. When you click on them, it opens up a little pop-up here. Beautiful look too. Like, I love the fact that we've got a little drop shadow behind these pop-ups, and there's a little bit of animation when they appear. Something that you would have to customize in other authoring tools as well. Let's take a look at a couple more here. If you've got a process, you can add sort of a little content carousel here. Your first section will be an introduction. You can click start, and then it allows you to talk about step number 1, step number 2, and again, chunk out that information so that learners have an easier time breaking it down into those individual steps here. One that is available where you can probably go beyond just level 1 learning are these scenario blocks. And these are really cool. Again, you just simply go in and you've got scenario content 1.0 where they set up the scene. We have some text that explains the situation. You can choose what your character looks like, and or you can hide the character. In the first section here, when we go here, you can edit this background. So you can upload your own image. You can select a different environment for that character to be in, and we can choose a different character. and really customize this so that it's not just, and then change the expression of the person. So look at this. You've got all these sorts of characters, and maybe we start off with her looking concerned, and then of course you can add choices. So now we're going to have some text here where we're saying, asking a question basically, and then the learner can choose, option 1, option 2, and 3, and so on, and get feedback as to why that choice may or may not be a good choice for them. And of course, keep moving forward with other scenarios. And this is almost a branching scenario. So for those that say, oh, RISE is great, but it only does level 1 learning, I would suggest that this probably takes it beyond level 1. Definitely into level 2, possibly into level 3, depending on, depending on what your definition of the levels of interactivity are. So that's cool. There's also a whole bunch of, I think one of my favorites is this sorting activity. So you can have basically a bunch of cards that are true and false statements, or items that go into one of 2 categories. And this is how this works here. So you put these in the appropriate category and you receive immediate feedback. So another really cool interaction. Why do I keep jumping right out? Again, it's probably not my familiarity with the tool so much. So what else are we going to add here? Let's go back to interactive, because that's what people want these days. We've covered that. There's a timeline that works simple. I love this flashcard grid, and it's actually inspired me to build something very similar in Adobe Captivate. But you can have, let's say, again, chunk out some information here. Think about this though for a second. Some people would say, oh, all you're doing is clicking to reveal. What a big deal that is. But think of it this way. If I wanted to customize it, so let's go up here. We'll click the plus and we'll add some text, and maybe we'll do this. Knowledge check. And select the correct answer. Who is the Prime Minister of Canada? Okay. Front of this card could be, now let's edit this. This is probably easier to do here. So the front of card 1 will say Justin Trudeau. And on the back of the card we'll say correct. You know your prime ministers. Okay. And provide, of course, some other examples as well. So I've just turned something that was previously, and here would be a case where I would probably want to go in, drop the padding down. So again, it looks like part of it. Do the same thing for here. Sorry if I'm going quickly. And I would have some distractors here. And of course, just position Justin Trudeau where he needs to be to just make it seem a little bit more random. So select the correct answer. Who is the Prime Minister of Canada? So we're turning a click to reveal into a mini knowledge check, and then you can give them a continue button afterwards. They can click the wrong answers if they wish. It's a very simple knowledge check, but there's no reason why you can't use a flashcard grid to create that kind of knowledge check there. Nick is saying, yeah, I use RISE to send my training material also. So I think we've covered enough of the stuff. By the way, there's also quiz questions, all the standard ones you would expect. For example, true, false, multiple choice. I won't show all of those today. We're just about out of time. But Nick is pointing out that there's another benefit. If we go back to the course level here, I can click on review, and another tool that's available besides Rise 360 in the Articulate 360 suite is the Review 360 tool, and it's excellent. So I'm going to create a new item for review, and we'll publish this, and this is where we'll see this here. Let's view this in 360 here. Review 360. So the reviewers of this course can add their comments, so maybe they want to include something like, please change the image. So that's feedback that they'll add, and you'll see that, of course, and you can add a reply to it. But what's nice is that unlike simply uploading your final course to AWS, for example, one of the ways I do it, there's something that they can interact with. And of course, this is very professional looking, and they can go through the course and click on each of the sections. Let's go here and see what the course looks like. So again, it's real easy to work with. As you can see, it looks beautiful, and I am not a graphic designer, but you can make this content look really good and very interactive, at least as interactive as you need it to be. But really understanding the tool is probably the hardest part, is understanding how you can build these scenarios. Works really well here. I might want to add, let's add one more. Let's add one more distractor to this question. Something like that. Spelling mistake, I know. Don't worry about it. And, let's work with our sorting tools. So, hey, there's 2 categories here. Put these in the right category. Here's my Justin Trudeau knowledge check, right? I can collapse this if I want to see it there. Who's the Prime Minister of Canada? Correct. Again, I'm not doing anything to restrict people from choosing the wrong answers, but once they get it correct, of course, they can continue with that project. So let's go back to Rise 360. So here's my course. There it is there. Let's click on that. Once I'm ready and I've received the feedback from my stakeholders and this is good to go, obviously if you are using Rise.com as your content management tool or learning management tool, then that would be one process. But if you're not using Rise.com as your learning management system, you can publish this out. So we can click on export, and we can choose the different export types that are available. LMS comes up. Incidentally, you can create a PDF, which is quite beautiful already. There's very little editing that needs to do. Or you can simply publish it out to the web if you wish. Let's go ahead with LMS. Choose your LMS type. SCORM 1.2, SCORM 2004, AICC, XAPI. Not sure what CMI 5 is, but I'll figure that out at some point. But certainly all the same options that are available from Adobe Captivate. Let's say I'm doing an XAPI course here. It will create a unique identifier, which is sort of the foundation of XAPI. What's the tracking? If there were a quiz, I could track based on the quiz results. In this case, I'm just doing straight up course completion. And depending on your LMS, you may need an exit course link, but I'm going to leave that off for right now. Click on export. Yeah, it's giving me a warning that some of my lessons don't have any content. Not surprising. So I can export this here. And there it is. There's my zip file. I'll also receive an email that this has been packaged for me, and then I can download it from there as well. I'll just hit cancel for right now. But, that's it. It's a really simple tool to use. Uh, I think we can spend a few minutes talking about quiz questions here. So this is the actual course that I developed just as I was learning here. So let me just, let's preview this so you can see a more completed course. So this is my Respectful Workplace course. We'll start course here. I'm just going to quickly go through it just to give you an overall sense of what this looks like. Again, you can look at it in a variety of different options or different device sizes. So that, and again, nothing for you to do, nothing for you to think about. You just put your content in the tool and out comes this e-learning course. So why is this course important? And we're talking about respect in the workplace and harassment. And, just shows some beautiful images. Here's some examples of who can be harassed in the workplace. I have 13 different flip cards here for learning more about the different types of discrimination. And, we've got some accordion type interactions here. And we've got tabbed content. Looks good. If you've got more tabs than you can fit on your screen, you can just have these buttons there. They appear automatically. It's nothing for you to program. Here's my case study. We've got using this interactive tool. So we would choose the right answers and keep moving forward. This is the right answer in this case here. So, just some great examples where we've got some scenarios and we can choose the right answers. These are just some knowledge checks here. Then we can continue taking action. Some lovely looking content. Again, another click to reveal. I love this one. I did this one. I think the text is a little much, but keep in mind if I click on edit there, we'll go down to, where was that? Nope, that wasn't the impact. It was taking action, I think it was. Yeah, so keep in mind that like if I don't like something here, certainly I can edit the text here, but you can edit right on your screen here. So maybe this is too large a text. So when I select text like this, I can control the font size. Let's drop that down to 24. And the only thing I've found though is that your line spacing kind of remains large, but that's okay. This is kind of a cool little example here, but I think you guys get the idea. And this is a matching, a drag and drop, which works quite well. And these are kind of different than the way Captivate visualizes this. Well, I got one of them right. But I'm really impressed. And again, I love the idea that if someone came to me and said, Paul, I need a responsive design course. I need it tomorrow or the next day or whatever it might be. And I didn't have a lot of time to build it from scratch. This is a great tool for that. I can pick the client's fonts. I can pick maybe one of their important primary colors that they use in their branding scheme to highlight throughout the course. You can do some really nice customization without spending a whole lot of time on that. And then of course you get into quiz questions. Let me go back to this here. We'll just go back and share because I do want to cover that before we move on here. Let's go down to, let's go back. Quizzes are a little bit different than regular block content here. Let's go down to assessment. So this is one I've already added here. Let's do a preview of this quiz. So it looks like you've got a series of pages here. We'll start the quiz here. You heard a joke about people from the same country of origin, blah, blah, blah. What's the right answer? Don't tell the joke. It's discriminatory. And we can hit next there. I actually don't like it with the images, but this course originally had images. Robert's manager, Martha, has propositioned him. So making sex a condition of an associate's employment is always sexual harassment. Correct. So kind of cool as well. And again, if I publish this out, I can publish it as XAPI SCORM and make the quiz what determines whether that module is successful or not. So I think it works well. It's a good tool. So overall, I mean, I'm giving Rise a thumbs up. I do recognize that it's not going to be for every situation. There's going to be situations where you need to develop something that's far more customized of a solution. But again, I get a lot of requests where people say, I want a responsive design course. I needed to include multimedia, video, interactions, and I need it yesterday. So if I was going to develop such a course, I think I would likely gravitate to Rise 360 over top of Adobe Captivate. And I don't want to preface this, not only for the people that I've worked with over at Adobe. Obviously, Adobe Captivate is this very robust tool that I will continue to use and continue to teach for those that might be concerned about what's going to happen to my YouTube channel. Nothing. My YouTube channel might cover more topics besides Adobe Captivate in the future, but Adobe Captivate continues to be my primary tool for all the development that I do. So guys, thanks for joining me today. This has been a lot of fun because this is actually such a fun tool to use. I recommend that you download a trial copy of, well, actually, there's nothing to download. And before I let you guys go, I want to show you one last thing that is really appealing to me. So if you have one of these, right, and you go to rise.com, rise.articulate.com, sign into your account, and while I'm sitting on the beach in Mexico, hopefully soon, once the whole pandemic is over, I can go in, and that course I literally just created here, I can edit that course right on my tablet. I don't need a PC, I don't need a Mac, I don't need any particular device. I need a web browser. And that's really, I think, one of the really big benefits of Rise 360. I didn't mention that before, but I tested it out very briefly. I didn't find any issues with going in and editing this content here. So we can choose different numbered lists. We can edit the material, go in and do the settings. All like what I was doing on my PC. So that's another big benefit for me. I hate sitting at my desk. I would much rather be sitting on a patio somewhere, enjoying the sun. Or, you know, if you're in a situation where you are on vacation and an important client reaches out to you and says, we need a responsive design e-learning course and we need it yesterday. Here's the storyboard. Can you get this done for us? While I'm sitting on the beach in Mexico, maybe I'll hold off on having the margaritas or the Mai Tais, but I could totally build a Rise course, package it and email it to them or upload it to a cloud storage site and share with that e-learning package with them. So very cool. I really love Rise 360 and I'm looking forward to not only using it with one of my current clients, which is the reason I got into it in the first place, but with other clients who are looking for really rapid development e-learning from me. And again, looking for that responsive design. So presently, if you ask for responsive design, I'm going to try to talk you out of it, but mostly because it's been so difficult to do in the past. So I think now that I've got this great tool for building responsive design e-learning, you'll see more responsive design coming out of me. So good stuff. Lastly, let's just take a look here and see if there are any outstanding questions. Here, great as always, Paul, follower from Morocco. Thanks for following me, of course. Thank you so much, Paul. Your efforts are appreciated. You are a great teacher of these e-learning dev tools. Thanks, Nicholas, and we'll talk real soon. I'll schedule another live stream for my members in the very near future. So if you like this format of tutorial and training, consider signing up for a membership on my YouTube channel, and that will get you access to the live stream. It literally is only $1 per month to get access to the live content that I'm trying to do a couple of times a month. So I think that most people will find benefit in participating, even at that very small level. There's other content that's available for those that contribute a little bit more. But again, click on that join button. It's not forcing you to do anything. You'll get a preview of what's available, and you'll be able to make a choice from there. Guys, thanks a lot, and we'll talk really soon. If you thought this video was useful, please like and share with your colleagues. If you need help with your next e-learning project, hire me. My focus is to create effective e-learning that achieves your business goals. Visit my website at captivateteacher.com, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel.